That number, if you have not been paying attention, represents a fall from 29, her career high, reached in mid-March after a season that saw her beat Jasmine Paolini in Dubai, reach the fourth round at Indian Wells, push through the early rounds of multiple WTA 1000 events. But that number also obscures what Eala actually did on grass last summer, which is the real reason she holds this wild card and the real reason this draw carries electricity instead of dread. Eastbourne 2025. Eala entered through qualifying. She was not seeded in the main draw, not expected to survive the first week. She beat Lucia Bronzetti. She beat Elena Ostapenko when the Latvian retired trailing in the third set. She demolished Diana Yastremska 6-1, 6-2 in a quarterfinal performance so dominant that the scoreline barely communicated how one-sided the court felt. She beat Varvara Gracheva in the semifinals. And in the final, against Maya Joint, she held championship points. Multiple championship points. She lost that final in a third-set tiebreaker, 10 points to 8, a margin so thin it exists somewhere between heartbreak and proof. That run gave Eala something no ranking can fully capture. She discovered that her game, the timing, the angles, the court sense developed on hard courts, translates to grass with frightening fluency. The low bounce suits her compact swing. The speed of the surface rewards her decision-making speed. And her return game, which operates as her most dangerous weapon on every surface, becomes genuinely suffocating on grass because the server cannot hide behind heavy topspin bouncing above the shoulder. On grass, the ball comes in flat, stays low, and Eala catches it early with the kind of anticipation that makes opponents feel like their serves are being read before the toss reaches its peak. So when we say wild card, let us be precise about what that word means here. It does not mean charity. It does not mean a tournament doing a favor for a marketable face. Eala is ranked 37. The direct entry cutoff for a 28-player draw at a WTA 500 typically falls somewhere around 25 to 30, depending on withdrawals. She sat 5th on the alternate list. The wild card simply accelerated what proximity would have granted, direct entry into a field she was always going to be near. The tournament wanted her there because she earned the right to be considered, and because last year's Eastbourne run proved she can damage anyone on this surface. Now, about that field. Iga Swiatek arrives as the top seed, ranked 3rd in the world, the defending Wimbledon champion. Let that phrase sit for a moment. Swiatek won Wimbledon last July by beating Amanda Anisimova 6-love in the final, the most dominant women's Wimbledon final in decades. The Polish star, once considered a clay court specialist, conquered grass so completely in 2025 that the surface conversation around her shifted permanently. She chose Bad Homburg as her pre-Wimbledon preparation last year too, losing to Jessica Pegula in that final, but using the week to calibrate her game for the championships. She returns for the same purpose, carrying the same intent, and she will have a first-round bye that lets her watch potential opponents before she plays. Alina Svitolina, seeded 2nd, ranked 7th. The Ukrainian has assembled a 28-7 record in 2026, a winning percentage just under 80% that reflects both her consistency and her ability to peak at the right moments. Svitolina has always been competent on grass. She reached the Wimbledon semi-finals in previous years, and her defensive counterpunching game adapts well to a surface where patience can unravel aggressive opponents who press too hard for winners. Mira Andreeva, seeded 3rd, ranked 8th, 18 years old and playing tennis that belongs to someone 5 years older. Andreeva's 2026 has been remarkable. A 29-9 record, 2 titles, and a level of competitive maturity that makes her age feel irrelevant. Her grass court record is developing rather than established, but her athleticism and variety make her dangerous on any surface where improvisation matters. Karolina Muchova, seeded 4th, ranked 10th. This is the woman who dismantled Eala 6-love, 6-2 in the Miami 4th round 3 months ago. That scoreline still carries weight. Muchova is a player whose tennis brain operates at a frequency most opponents cannot match. Drop shots, slice approaches, changes of pace that interrupt rhythm and force reactive tennis rather than proactive tennis. On grass, where points are shorter and variety is rewarded more than power, Muchova becomes a puzzle with no single solution. Linda Noskova, seeded 5th. Ekaterina Alexandrova, seeded 6th. Naomi Osaka, seeded 7th, four-time Grand Slam champion, now ranked in the mid-teens and playing with renewed hunger after years of navigating the intersection of mental health, motherhood, and professional competition. And seeded 8th, Iva Jovic, 17 years old. World number 17. The player who beat Eala 6-4, 6-2 at Roland Garros less than 2 weeks ago to end her French Open in the first round. That Jovic result sits fresh. It stings. It landed in a week when Eala was trying to find her feet on clay after a season that had already taken her through the emotional spectrum from career-high celebration to frustrating losses that exposed the specific technical limitations Greg Rosetsky identified publicly. The serve lacks pop, and without enough free points on serve, Eala must fight for every service game in ways that compound pressure over a match. But here is what changes on grass. The surface itself adds pace to a serve that might land soft on clay. The ball skids lower. A serve that produces a weak return on clay might produce an outright winner on grass if the placement is right. The physics shift in Eala's favor in ways that are not hypothetical. They were demonstrated conclusively last summer. Beyond the seeded players, the draw contains Leylah Fernandez, Diana Schneider, the 2024 champion, Emma Navarro, Anna Kalinskaya, Clara Tauson. These are not filler names. These are established professionals with WTA titles, Grand Slam experience, and grass court confidence. And then there is Venus Williams, holding the other headline wildcard at age 45, a 7-time Grand Slam champion whose presence here is nostalgic rather than competitive, but who nonetheless adds atmosphere and historical weight to the week. Eala shares a wildcard category with Venus Williams and Eva Liss. The comparison tells you something about where she sits in the tennis ecosystem right now, no longer a curiosity or a developmental story, but a player whose presence in a field is expected rather than surprising, granted through a wild card because of circumstantial ranking math rather than because anyone doubts she belongs. What makes this particular week so loaded for Eala is the concentration of unresolved business packed into one draw. Jovic is there, the freshest wound. Muchova is there, the most humiliating scoreline of her 2026. And Swiatek is there, the player Eala beat in the Miami quarterfinals last year in a result that announced her arrival to the broader tennis world, a player she took a set from. A player whose game on grass last year was so dominant that meeting her again on this surface represents both the ceiling and the dare. But the question this tournament asks is not whether Eala can beat all of them. Nobody is asking that. The question is whether the grass beneath her feet can restore what the last 6 weeks took away. Because the numbers tell an uncomfortable story about the period between that career-high ranking and now. After reaching 29 in mid-March, Eala lost to Linda Noskova 6-2, 6-love at Indian Wells. She lost to Muchova 6-love, 6-2 in Miami. She lost first-round matches she should not have lost. She dropped to 45 before climbing back to 37 through strong results in Rome, where she beat Wang Xinyu in straight sets before falling to the combined weight of Rybakina or Sakkari. Then Roland Garros came, and Jovic ended it before it began. The pattern is not collapse. The pattern is inconsistency, the kind that every player ranked between 20 and 50 in the world experiences, because the level separating good from great at the top of women's tennis is measured in percentage points rather than ability gaps. Eala can beat top 10 players. She has proven this repeatedly. She can also lose to players ranked below her in dispiriting fashion. Both are true simultaneously, and neither defines her more than the other. What grass offers Eala specifically is a surface where her particular brand of inconsistency matters less. On clay, a match is a war of attrition. You cannot hide from your worst games because rallies are long enough to expose every wobble. On hard courts, the margin is moderate. But on grass, individual points are compressed. Service games are faster. Return games are decisive earlier. A player whose peak is elite, but whose valleys arrive unexpectedly can survive those valleys on grass, because the format gives fewer opportunities for extended self-destruction. You hold serve on autopilot more easily. You create break opportunities through a single good return rather than 10 consecutive good rallies. The surface, in its speed and brevity, protects Eala from the thing that has hurt her most this year: extended periods within matches where confidence bleeds away point by point. Bad Homburg begins June 21st. The draw will be revealed June 19th. Until then, all we have is the field and the knowledge that wherever Eala lands in that draw, she will face someone capable of ending her week immediately. There are no soft openers in a 28-player WTA 500 field this strong. Every first-round match is a competitive encounter against a professional with weapons and a plan. And yet Eala's Eastbourne run last year started from qualifying. She won 5 matches in a row against players who had every right to beat her. She did it not through the accumulation of slow physical advantage, but through the kind of decisive, clean shot making that grass rewards more than any other surface. The forehand down the line that skids past a net rusher. The cross-court return that catches the sideline and leaves the server stranded. The first strike tennis that her hard-court development trained into her muscle memory, and that grass allows her to deploy at full speed because the ball never rises high enough to force her onto the defensive. The coaching team at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor knows this. They built her clay court season knowing it would be difficult, knowing the serve limitation would be most exposed on the slow surface, knowing that the real return on investment for 2026 lives on the grass and the hard courts that follow. Rosetsky's comment about plateauing is fair as far as it goes, but it misses the surface-specific context that makes Eala's grass court ceiling significantly higher than her clay court ceiling at this stage of her development. The serve needs work, everyone agrees on this, including Eala herself. But on grass, that work is partially subsidized by the surface physics. The same serve that gets punished on clay can survive on grass. And surviving on serve means Eala's return game gets to operate without the psychological weight of knowing every service game is a battle. So here she is. 1 wild card. 1 week. A draw containing the defending Wimbledon champion, for top 10 players, the woman who beat her 12 days ago, the woman who demolished her 3 months ago, and a supporting cast of established professionals who all want the same thing: rhythm, confidence, and momentum heading into the championships. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets an easy draw. The compression of talent in this field means that whoever wins Bad Homburg will have beaten multiple elite players in 5 days, and whoever loses early will have lost to someone genuinely good rather than to themselves. For Eala, the tournament represents something specific that the rest of the field does not share. She carries a nation's attention in a sport that nation does not traditionally produce. She carries the memory of championship points she did not convert last summer. She carries the sting of Jovic's straight-set dismissal at Roland Garros and the blank scorelines Machova and Noskova inflicted earlier this year. And she carries the knowledge, supported by evidence, not faith, that this surface has given her more than any other. 4 wins, 3 losses on grass in her career. A final reached from qualifying. A set taken from the defending Wimbledon champion on center court before the crowd and the moment and the extra gear of a champion proved too much. The 2026 Bad Homburg Open is not a test of whether Alex Eala belongs at this level. That question was answered at Eastbourne, reiterated in Dubai against Paolini, confirmed in Rome against Wang Xinyu. She belongs. The tournament is something else entirely, a week where belonging is the minimum, where the draw itself announces that anyone less than fully prepared will be eliminated by Tuesday, and where the particular magic of grass court tennis can compress an entire season's narrative arc into 4 or 5 matches.